guys, welcome back. I'm going to be sanding down these gas tanks, oil tanks, and headlight buckets. And we're going to get these things painted. Now, the oil tanks are black, headlight buckets are pearl white, and the gas tanks are pearl white with the black stripe. Now, the way they originally painted these, they put the black on first, let it dry, taped it off, and then put the white on. And that's how these guys want this done. They want it done how they originally did it. So we need to put the black on first, let it dry, and then put the white on, and then clear it. And they're okay if they feel a line between the white and black, because that's how it originally was when they originally did it. So we're going to take 180 grit on my block here. We're going to block it all down with 180 grit. And then we're going to go over it with 320 grit with this real 1/2-inch foam pad on the DA sander with 320, and that's just going to get rid of the 180 marks. So once we do that, we're going to put all this stuff in the spray booth. We're going to put a coat of sealer on everything, then the black on both oil tanks, and then the black spots on the gas tank. Let the gas tanks dry for about an hour, tape it off, put the white on, untape the black, and clear them. Found one little ding on the side of one of the oil tanks. So I'm gonna put a little bit of filler in there, and then when we put our epoxy primer as a sealer down, that'll cover up this little bit of body filler. And then I just have to red Scotch-Brite pad all these down inside here and everything, and then we'll be ready to get them in the spray booth. Now, one of the 4 fenders that I painted silver, I had an accident and I dropped a spray can on the edge of one of them. So then yesterday, I was touching it up, figuring I could just touch it up real quick, and the paint decided to react. So it's turning into a nightmare. So the fender is in the spray booth right now with, I ended up clearing it because I couldn't get the reaction to stop. So I cleared over the reaction, so I need to scuff down the fender and the reaction area and re-blend in a little bit of silver and re-clear it when I clear these parts. So hopefully that reaction will be gone now that I have clear over top of it, and I can just lightly sand it down and apply a little bit more silver and then clear it again. But I'll show you that when the time comes. I had to sand through the edge because I had a dent above it from the spray can falling and hitting it, that I did a little body work while I sanded through the paint, and the new paint reacted with the old paint and it wrinkled it. So hopefully we'll be able to get that fixed. So I'm gonna grab a red Scotch-Brite pad now, which I actually have one right here, and basically I'm just gonna do this off camera. I'm just gonna go around and really thoroughly scuff this whole all these parts, all around the edges and the whole part itself, and just make sure that I get every single area smooth and ready for paint. So I'm going to do this off camera, and I'll just sand that little spot that I put that filler on, and then when I come back, I'll have all this blown off, and we'll get it. I'll probably have it all hung up in the spray booth, and we'll start working on this stuff, getting it painted. Okay, so this is where the reaction is on the fender. So it kept wrinkling up on me, so I just gave up and cleared over it. And I really kind of loaded the clear over here so that hopefully I can just knock this down lightly and then be able to put a little bit of silver, blend a little bit of silver out in this area, and then just re-clear the fender. Other than that, the fender turned out beautiful. So go figure. So I'm going to work on getting this all sanded down, and then I'm going to blow these parts off, and we are ready to put the sealer on. And then I'm going to touch up the silver on this, move this out of the spray booth, put the black on these parts, let it set for an hour, come back, we'll tape them off, and then at that point we'll be ready for the white and then the clear. Okay, all the parts are in the spray booth. I am mixing up the epoxy primer that we're going to use as a sealer. I want to go out there and wipe the parts down. I'm using my wax and grease remover. It's Pretball wax and grease remover. I buy it on Amazon. It's like 50 bucks a gallon. Seems to be the cheapest place around, but it's in my pump bottle here. Let me grab it. So I just have it poured into here because this pressurizes it and it turns it into like a spray can. And then we're going to take these blue lint-free towels and wipe it down. Now I like to put a lot of this on to where it's running off the part. By doing that, it seems to take the dust and dirt with it. So let's go out there and spray these down real quick. I don't have the fender in here right now because I don't want to get epoxy primer overspray onto it. So once the epoxy primer is applied to these parts, I'm going to bring the fender in here. We're going to blow in a little bit of PVC 500 or Intercoat Clear, and then we're going to blend in a little bit of silver and then take it back out of here and then clear coat it when I clear coat all these parts. But don't be afraid to really soak this stuff down. Let it drip on the floor. I wipe them, I take my blow gun and go back over them because sometimes that stuff will be stuck behind the brackets and stuff. Like right here, I just blew that out. Up this epoxy and use it as a sealer. This is a Speedo coat, whatever they call it. It's a epoxy DTM, direct to metal primer sealer. Gray is the color. Part number is SMR 260G is in gallon. I gotta get some more mixing cups out. Let me grab some more liners for my mixing cup. And this is just a 4-to-1 mix. We're going to do 4 parts epoxy, 1 part hardener, and we're going to add 20% reducer to thin it out so that it sprays smoother for a sealer. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then we're going to go out there and put that on. Once we're done doing that, I'm going to bring the fender in. We're going to get that blended in, and then we'll take that back out of the spray booth, and then we'll do the black and let it sit for an hour. Okay, now we're gonna take a little Intercoat Clear, right here, Intercoat Clear and Blending Clear. And this has a little reducer in it already because I always save what's left in the gun and pour it back into here. So I'm gonna put this into the gun and not add any reducer. Now, I'm hoping by not adding any reducer to this, that this will keep that from lifting on me again, okay, in case I did sand through anywhere, which is a possibility. The more reducer you put in your base coat when you're trying to fix a lifting issue is going to cause it to lift even more, because I don't know what the reasoning is, but it does. So hopefully by under reducing this stuff, we can possibly get it to not lift on us again. So I'm going to do this lightly, and the reason why I'm using this is going to seal in the sanding marks that I did with the Scotch-Brite pad, so that when I put the silver down, it doesn't go into those scuff marks and make the silver metallic look funny when I blend it in. So let's go out there and kind of dust this on a pretty big area, and then we can mix up some silver. Once again, the silver paint does have reducer already in it because I also pour the paint back in the can. So we're going to try it without reducing that silver as well and see if that does the trick, and see if we can spray it smooth enough without putting reducer into that silver. Now obviously, if it's a new thing of silver or something like that, you're going to want to reduce it a little bit because it's going to be too thick to spray and try to get it to look good. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on. Then I'm going to come in here, I'm going to put a little silver in here, we're going to go back out there and try to blend the silver in. Now you don't have to clean the cup out. You can just pour the cup out and put the silver right into the same cup. Okay, now I'm going to mix up some black base coat, and we're going to go out there, we're going to use a tack rag it off, and then we are going to put some black base on the areas, both oil tanks, and then the areas of the gas tank where it is getting the little black 1/4 inch stripe. This is just regular straight black base coat. I'm going to put a little bit of reducer in it. Maybe 30–40%, not a full 1-to-1, because when you're running straight black like this, it's thinner, so you don't need as much reducer. So I'm going to go ahead and get this mixed up. We're going to go out there and get the black on, and then it's going to set for a good hour and a half. Then we'll tape it off, and then we'll do the pearl white. Okay, the black's on. As you can see, I did several light coats. You want to keep if you're doing graphics or stripes, you want to keep your build as thin as possible, because then you can do more in a day as far as taping other colors and stuff like that. Plus, you don't need a lot of coverage. You just need to have enough so that the color covers, so that the color is not transparent, so you don't see any gray through the black. Once you're there, stop. Don't go loading on heavy coats. No reason for it. It's a waste. You don't need it. So now this is going to set for a good hour, and I'll come back and we'll tape the black stripes off. We'll remove the oil tanks out of the spray booth and paint the pearl white. And we're using a Tesla pearl white. I bought 2 pints, 1 pint of the white, and I bought a whole pint of the pearl, which is more than I need. Main layer tinted pearl. We might put down a regular white first on the first coat. I'm sure this is more than enough, because this is going to make a quart of paint. Yeah, I think we'll just stick with that. I think we have enough with that. So, all right, I'm going to let this dry for a little bit, and I'll be back, and we're going to get it taped off. Okay, it's actually been several hours. I've been doing other things, but I just brought one of the tanks out here for now so that I can show you how I'm going to tape it off. That's all this tank has, is one black pinstripe around the side of the tank. And the good thing is, we'll have to wipe the tank off really good before we spray the white. But the good thing is so all we have to do is follow the original body line with the piece of tape. Now with this fine line tape, you got to be a little bit careful with it. You don't want to stretch it a lot. If you stretch it a lot, it will pull away on you, and you will have a problem with it. So we're just going to start down here on the bottom, and we're just going to go right around. Follow my body line on the can, or on the tank. Don't, like I said, don't stretch it real hard, because what happens if you stretch this really, really hard is it'll want to pull away on you. It's kind of a hard spot to do this in. Now, I've always learned that if you pull the tape out a lot farther than you need it when you're doing this, it turns out straighter for you. So you just kind of, because then you can kind of get a nice turn going on here. Now this is going to be a tight corner here. This corner's going to kind of suck. I'm going to have to pull this one tighter. Okay, now I like to run my tape long and then cut it with a razor blade, which of course I don't have out here. Okay, so now that I ran my tape long, I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to cut it right here. Very gently. You don't want to cut into your paint. Then I'm going to overlap this one and cut it a little bit past the other cut so that they overlap. But make sure that they don't overlap on the edge too. Just like that, we have that taped. So now I gotta do the other side and then the other tank, and then we can get it back in there and paint the white. Now, make sure you push this down extremely well. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of this. Now I'll come back and we will put the white on. Okay, I'm gonna mix up the white paint. I wiped everything down, blew it off, so we're ready to put the white on. Now hopefully that tape doesn't it already lifted in the one real tight corner, so I pushed it back down. Hopefully that doesn't cause a problem. Worst case scenario, if it lifts a little bit and we get a little bit of white overspray underneath it, we'll have to take a little touch-up brush and brush it in. The good thing about that is when you do a black paint job, you can brush touch before you clear, and once you clear it, you'll never see it. So we're mixing up the white, which is the bottom layer first, and this is just a 1-to-1 mix, 1 part paint, 1 part reducer. So I'm going to get this mixed up, and we are going to get this put on. And then after that, we'll be ready for pearl and then clear. I did take the oil tanks out of the spray booth, so the oil tanks and the fender are all outside the spray booth. So the only thing are in here are the 2 headlight buckets and the 2 gas tanks. So I'll be back in a minute. I'll start putting the white on. I'm going to do light coats again, just like I did with the black. Okay, if you notice, I put on 5 light coats of paint. I did that because I'm trying not to get a huge buildup between the white and the black. Plus, if you put it on real heavy around that tape, it makes that tape want to lift even more. So, hopefully, that'll be okay. I have a feeling that a couple little spots I'm probably going to have to do a little black brush touch-up paint with a brush, but not a big deal. Okay, so this is the pearl here. This also gets mixed 1-to-1, 1 part pearl, 1 part reducer. So we're gonna go out there and put a couple coats of pearl on, and then I'm gonna let it set for about an hour, then untape it and touch up any of the black I need to, and then we'll be ready for clear. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this mixed up now. All right, I'm gonna see if I can carefully peel the tape off, and then we'll let it sit for a little while longer. Okay, we got a few bleed through areas. See these tiny little spots? That's easy to brush touch. So we'll do that in about an hour when this dries. That's what happens with that tape, is it pulls away in tight corners like that. But we'll let this dry for a little bit, brush touch it, and we'll be ready for clear. We'll be clearing all these parts right here, plus the fender, plus the two oil, what do you want to call those things? Oil tanks. Okay, I'm going to touch up these couple spots on the black with this little tiny touch-up brush. And I got a new rubber glove on because I don't want to touch the white paint with my bare hands. White paint stains really easily until it's clear. So this is what I'm talking about before right here. You see those little bit of white that blew onto the black? And that's after it's touched up. Only takes a couple seconds. If it were a metallic color, I'd have to fix it with spraying it. Okay, we're going to be using the Wanda Clear again. The 8100, is that the number? Yeah, 8100 overall clear, 4-to-1 mix, no reducer. We're running it a little bit thicker so that it doesn't want to run as easily down the hanging parts. So we're going to mix up a full batch of this, and then we're going to put the first coat on light to medium, second coat heavier, and we'll see what it looks like after 2 coats. Probably do 3 coats, but we'll see how it goes. I need to tack cloth off the fender, the oil tanks. I'm not going to tack off the white parts because I don't want to drag any sort of dirt or color onto the white parts. So only going to tack cloth. We're going to do the fender first, and then the 2 oil tanks second, because the oil tanks are black, and I just want to make sure that I don't, I'm getting a new stick here, that I don't get any black on the tack rag and then wipe the silver and possibly contaminate the silver. So I'm going to get this stirred up really good, get it in the gun, and we're going to go out there, like I said, and put a light to medium coat. We're going to let it set for 10 minutes. We're at about 90 degrees right now, 85, 90 degrees. I'm using a slow hardener, which is made for between 85 and 95 degrees, between 80 and 95 probably. So it's the perfect hardener for what I'm doing. I like using slow hardener with clear too, because the slow hardener gives the clear a little bit more time to flow out and lay down flatter. If you're using a fast dry hardener in 80-degree weather, it is going to hit the panel and want to dry quicker than it will then flowing out. So you want it to flow out a little bit so that the orange peel dies down on it. So, all right, let's get out there and put the first coat on. All right, it's drying. Turned out real nice. This is the area that was screwed up right there. So that's all fixed. So all I have left to do on these motorcycle parts is a skid plate for the one bike, and it's just supposed to be black. So that is all that's left, and all these bike parts will be done. I'd imagine all these parts are going to be getting picked up this weekend. Now when I went to start spraying my first coat of clear, I plugged my gun in and this fell apart. Bearings fell on the floor. So I had to replace it with a new quick disconnect. And this is a high flow quick disconnect because it's got the bigger hole in the center. So luckily I had one more and I was able to change that out. This is probably about 2.5 years old. So, I mean, they only last so long. So, all right guys, that's gonna end this video. The skid plate I'll probably just do off camera. It's just a little tiny skid plate that goes on the front underneath the motor. I'm not worried about really showing that. So that pretty much ends this project. Might do a light wet sanding on the gas tanks, but that should be about it. But other than that, that's about it. My next project is that 59 Impala. Is supposed to be coming tomorrow at some point, but we are under a winter storm warning in Northeast Ohio, and we're supposed to get anywhere from 6 to 20 inches of snow, or 6 to 22 inches of snow. And I don't know if we'll get it or not, but I got the plow on my Jeep. It's all gassed up, ready to go. I got all my plow markers out and everything. So we'll see if we get that snow. If we do, I would imagine it'll be a couple more days before that car shows up, because it will be pretty much hell to get it here and in the building if we get that much snow. Even if I plow, I have such a long driveway that from the street to back here is 500-600 feet. And I have a turnaround too. So by the time I plow all that, there's so many piles of snow. Snow piles are so big, if we get a couple feet of snow, that it'll be really hard to get a trailer back here and get the car inside. So we'll see what happens. But other than that, guys, that's the end of this video. If this is something you guys are interested in, you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe. It just gives you notifications to let you know when another video comes out. Also, if you wouldn't mind hitting the thumbs up or sharing the videos to anybody who might be interested in stuff like this, that would be awesome. Other than that, guys, I'll see you guys later. Have a good night and Thanksgiving.